All right, it is Style Esports Season 14. It is the playoffs. We got NwE versus Flash Abusers on the Rift this evening. I'm going to get a stream title update in just a moment. Running a little bit of delay here because of an E sub. We're going to see a loss of a ban coming in, but I am Llama, joined here with Tiger58. We'll be bringing you some action tonight for the Style Season 14 playoffs.
Yep, we got the Rumble stage of the Targon division here. This is the final match of the Rumble stage. So loser going to be sent down to the knockout stage. The winner will go to the semifinals. So both of these teams are going to be hoping to get that. Flash Abusers coming last week with the upset over bedtime at 7. Apparently it was past their bedtime in that match, but this means that the Flash Abusers get to be here. They'll be on the blue side, and on the red side going to have NwE. So hopefully both of these teams are going to give us a good showing today.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the stage is rumbling now when we are at this point in the playoffs. Some great upsets, as you named. So are we going to be seeing double elimination now in the playoffs? Like, are these teams out if they get knocked down once? Or, as you mentioned, semifinals is on the line if these teams can win.
Yeah, so this isn't an elimination match. The teams are going to be playing to get into the semifinals, but if they fall down, then they'll be in the elimination stage.
Gotcha. Well, that's good to know too that this isn't the end all be all end of the road for either of these two teams. But it looks like on the blue side, it is going to be our Flash Abuser squad and NwE Delta on the red side here. That's why we will see likely this tick down. As we mentioned, Flash Abusers are losing a ban for an emergency substitute in the jungle. Not important. I mean, it's very important here in this match, jumping in last minute, but that's going to be the replacement jungler for the squad.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to cause any difficulties for this team. Gonna try to hopefully get the communication on point before we get into the first game. Hopefully they'll be working together well with the team. That's what we're looking for here. Get some synergy going on between the players in their teams respectively. But potentially going to be an opportunity to take advantage of that, and that's what you got to look towards when you're NwE. If you can ever get an advantage, you always want to do so. And coming into this game with an E sub with the loss of a ban, that means that Flash Abusers are already going to be a little bit behind, but not in a spot where they can't win the draft, not in a spot where they can't come and win the game either.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And we're seeing that when they have a first pick, they're going to pick up a Ziggs as an immediate choice. That's kind of an interesting pick. That's not something I see too much of, Tiger. And looks like now responding with some aggression out of NwE, locking Tristana as their first pick in the draft.
I do like the Ziggs. I think Ziggs is a three-way flex champion. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
go with mid and bot and support role for that champion. I think that the mid is most likely, but I think that bot is the best version. Tristana, also a flex champion, can be played in mid lane. Could even be played in some edge cases in top lane, but most likely going to be seen in mid or bot. Hopefully going to be in a spot where she can find some success. And also the Gragas has some flexibility between
Yeah.
top, mid, jungle. But I think that getting these picks that are just strong in multiple areas early on in the draft for both sides is a pretty good idea.
You're absolutely right. And a lot of flex potential, as you have named now. Both Gragas and Tristan have a couple lanes they can go into. And we got some beefy boys on the blue squad now. Look at this, picking up Flash Abusers with the Nautilus and the Sejuani. I mean, that has given them a beefy front line that they're going to be playing in this first game. Hopefully to respond to some of this aggression and the damage that Tristan and Gragas have provided.
Getting that front line in store is going to make a lot of sense, and we got a lot of pick here. The thing that you can do with the Ziggs is that you can
Ooh.
poke them out, and then with Nautilus and Sejuani you can set up some picks. I think that both of those things are good for some hybrid assassin type carries, so it could be seeing something like an Akali top could be on the cards. If you got the ability to play like a Fiora, she can be kind of like that with the dashes. I like the Aurelia ban. Akali
Oh
was
yeah.
banned earlier on, so won't be seeing that one either. But both sides are going to have a lot of utility from the first side of their draft. So I'm expecting to see higher damage champions in the later stages.
You're absolutely right, but the damage has already been built out for the side of NWE Delta. And look at this last pick here, Tiger. What are you thinking about this Bard pick? That's not something I've been seeing very much here in the amateur scene recently.
Yeah, usually Bard is only a few specific players that play him. And I think that if you can play Bard well, then he's a really good champion to have on your team. Really good at defending against Rift Heralds, particularly,
Yeah.
but also just being able to change the tide of certain fights. You got to use that ultimate quite effectively and potentially get some roams off as well. I think Nautilus is a champion where I'd expect to see some roams for
Hmm.
flash abusers, but for NWE, they could maybe even out roam with the Bard.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it is a way to match some of the roam potential, as you've mentioned. And you're right about the poke setup and more damage that flash abusers need, but so much lockdown too. Nautilus and Sejuani, between them, they have like 8 CC abilities. Literally, both these champions, every single one, I guess with the exception of like Nautilus W, so 7 CC abilities are going to be providing it, the damage through here. So as you said, they do need a little bit more damage here, but 3 damage champions, I guess 3.5 if you consider Bard. This NWE Delta squad is playing all damage all the time. No tanks to be seen, except for maybe the Gragas pick on the side of NWE.
It'll be interesting to see what the Gragas builds, but I think that he always does a pretty decent job of being a tank as well as being a little bit of damage. You can get some burst potential onto some squishies, anyways. That's kind of the best that you can expect, I think. But definitely not a bad champion to find some playmaking with, particularly and break up some
Ooh,
fights. I like the Gragas Yasuo combo,
yeah.
particularly being able to set up with the knockup. But that means that I'm going to be giving over the counter pick here. And the LeBlanc, pretty good at bypassing a lot of what Yasuo can do defensively.
And that does also seem to clear up that flex pick. You would name that, right? As the Ziggs potentially go in bot or into the mid lane. But with LeBlanc picked up, it looks like Ziggs bot. And now Garen, the 5th pick. This might not be Moose Hunter, but this is another Garen that's going to be hitting the Rift. And this is for the top laner of this game. Small Broski been spamming Garen 12 games here recently, most in the last couple of weeks. It's a champion they have a lot of experience on recently. We'll see what they can do on that champ on the Rift.
I really like the decision to send the Ziggs bot because with the Nautilus, that means that you can just have the Nautilus roam
Ooh.
pretty much all the time after level 6. And then Ziggs is really good at clearing waves. So there's no difficulty of just sitting under tower, keep throwing bombs out, and then just get to the point where there's no risk of diving against the Ziggs. And that means Nautilus can go mid lane, go top, go to the Rift Herald
Mhm.
wherever you need that Zig or not the Zigs, the Nautilus, then he could be there, especially in tandem with this Sejuani pick. Going to be going for picks all over the place. But we also have the Scion lock in for the top side here of NWE, which means that they're going to be looking to play strong side bot and maybe trying to challenge this notion that Ziggs can't be dove.
You're absolutely right. I know that you named early on in the draft that you were worried about flash abusers not having enough damage. Do you think LeBlanc and Garen gives this squad enough DPS in the fight to get the kills that they need?
Well, they could be in some difficult shape of trying to finish off kills onto particularly Scion and Gragas. I think that depending on the Gragas build, it could be more or less difficult to finish him off. But even Yasuo can be difficult to kill if he gets ahead in the early stages of the game. So I think that what we really need to see is early advantages coming through here for flash abusers. Potentially, we could see a little bit of a pivot here on the Garen build. I have heard of people trying to go for like crit Garen before. I'm not sure how good that actually is, but like they are very low on their DPS. They're kind of just hoping that they're able to throw out enough Ziggs bombs to be able to make up for any of this stuff. But I think that
Yeah.
able to just go for some early kills with this Nautilus Sejuani, that's what they're really looking to do. They need to have that advantage so that they don't get to the point where they just can't kill the big front line of NWE.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like Scion, I think that's a really, really smart pick that NWE picked up fifth there. As you said, you need to have enough damage to kill the Scion because if Tristana is able to free hit from the backline, that's going to be so much damage. So, maybe you could say, let's just ignore the Scion, right? Maybe there's a world in which Flash abusers are just able to get the point and click depth charge onto Tristana in the fight and just pile LeBlanc over with like a Ziggs ultimate coming from downtown to kill that player because it feels like that's kind of your primary DPS. But as you said, Gragas Yasuo, that's a disgusting combo in the mid jungle duo for NWE Delta. That they still have lots of opportunity to take the fight in their own hands. They got damage for days on that side.
And they've got a ton of knockups too. It's not just the Gragas that can land with the body slam or with the explosive cask, but you've also got the decimating smash from Scion. You've got the unstoppable onslaught from Scion. You've got Buster Shot from Tristana. There are so many ways that they can set up these Yasuo ultis coming through. This is kind of a wombo combo kind of comp. They are pretty heavily skewed towards physical damage, so they are also in a position where they could end up getting just resisted if they fall behind. Like Garen can index into a little bit of armor. You can have Sejuani, of course, and Nautilus get plenty of armor, and even picking up Zonias can be effective. So there are ways where if the lead comes in the early stages of the game to Flash abusers, I think that they could be in a pretty good spot. But I think that the problems that there are with the NWE draft are like smaller versions of the problems with the Flash Abusers draft.
Mm-hmm.
So the burden of execution still definitely is the way of the Flash Abusers.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. It's going to be on this squad to see if they can get an early advantage for Flash abusers in this first game, or will NWE Delta have the wombo and have the combo to take this game number one? You've heard our thoughts. Now we want to hear yours. There's a prediction that is live, wondering who will win game number one. Will it be NWE Delta on the blue side or Flash abusers? Oh, sorry, NWE Delta on the red side or Flash abusers on the blue side here for this game number one. We're finishing a short spectator delay, and on the other end of that, we will be getting into game number one of the evening here for the season 14 Style Esports playoffs here by Llama and Tiger. We'll see y'all in just a moment. We are on to the Rift for game number 1 here this evening between NwE Delta and the Flash Abusers. Both teams looking like a 5-stack invade, one on top, one on bottom. So they're looking for someone, but they're both in their own little world here, it seems.
Gonna get potentially some invade vision. Stacking against the invade here is NwE Delta. They probably would be able to win if the other team walked into them, but trying to find someone with a stray hook here makes sense to me from the side of Flash Abusers. So going to be doing that. Just gets the reset off. Each side going to get a little bit of vision. Actually, the extra invade vision does go over to Flash Abusers, so they'll have a slight advantage off of that. Just knowing where Goaty is going will be important. But since we have a moment here, let's take a look at the runes and summoner spells. Got Ignite for both of the mid laners. Actually made up for on the side of Flash Abusers by the teleport from Lean. That does speak to me that we're likely to see a lot of roaming coming out from Bento. Hopefully that does end up being the case. Hopefully that spices the game up a little bit as well. I think a lot of focus around this mid lane would make sense for both sides.
Yeah.
Gank potential available for Not Important and Goaty, both playing champions that like to go on the attack pretty early on. But with the knowledge where Goaty is, I think that Flash Abuser is probably going to be feeling a little safer.
And we'll see if they can abuse that information that they have now as well with Graga starting. You're right, that makes them feel a little bit safer. And you mentioned the pressure on the mid lane, especially that double ignite on both of these side laner or these mid laners here. But it is range versus melee. Remember, like Yasuo, that's known for the combo, but not as much for the laning prowess. Vietnam Dragon and NwE's trading a little bit aggressively here, and it's actually going to be the melee Yasuo getting the better of the trade, already popping the passive from LeBlanc. That's going to be the clone just running away.
Yeah, that means that NwE's should have a slight advantage in the lane for the time being. But I don't think it's going to make a huge difference with that slight health advantage. I think that that's going to be mitigated in a large part by the fact that LeBlanc has the range in the melee matchup. So I think Vietnam Dragon should be fine here. Goaty could look for a gank coming through that mid lane river brush, but I don't know if Vietnam Dragon is going to get caught.
Body slam's available. Oh, flash away from Vietnam Dragon. Yeah, you called that. They were setting up that play. The 3 camp into a mid gank, but Goaty just gets the flash for his efforts.
Still pretty good to get a flash out. That's going to mean Vietnam Dragon's a little bit more vulnerable. Able to tag the Dark Harvest on at the end. It is the Dark Harvest Gragas, so I'm expecting to see a little more AP built. But now Lonely Me going to get flanked and ganked by Not Important.
Not Important, going to get in. If they can get the 4 stacks, they can get the stun. Lonely Me get into the wall, trying to get the flash. Is stunned, is airborne. Now Silence. Can they get the flash over the wall? They do. Not going to be followed from the members of Flash Abusers and just going to take the flash for themselves. Great chain CC there, but ultimately Lonely Me escapes to save the day.
Yeah, good silence coming out there from Small Broski to make the flash get delayed for Lonely Me. Just trying to make sure that it does have to come out. You can't just try to walk that one out. And also had to recall because of the health bar being dropped pretty far. That means teleport comes out, and it's going to be a favorable recall for Small Broski. Going to be in a good wave state. Forces Lonely Me to overextend a little bit to get this wave in, but should be able to do that no problem. And potentially a regank would come through there, but not going to be immediate from Not Important, so probably going to be just fine.
Absolutely. And you were wondering about the build that Small Broski was going to be looking for. On the first back, they picked up a dagger. Do you think this is going to be that critical strike Garrett that you were thinking about early on? Like, what kind of build do you think we're going to be seeing now? That's quite an aggressive first item going to be picked up for Garrett.
Yeah, dagger is pretty interesting. Could be like just Blade of the Ruined King, I suppose. Just try to go for more of a 1v1 focus build. Ooh, Goaty's going to catch out Not Important, trying to go for the invade. Probably just finish up those Krugs. Not enough priority in the top lane to just get the immediate rotation. But that is going to at least avoid getting any more of the jungle stolen away.
And still no first blood, 5.5 minutes into this game here. If we take a look at the CS leads, though, pretty close across the board. Bot lane is completely in parity. Slight advantage, like you had mentioned, from the crashing wave and pressure over Garen over top of the Scion here. But yeah, I mean, level 6s, that's when we're going to start seeing some action. Where do you think we're going to see the first kill happen in this game, Tiger?
Well, it could be just about anywhere. I think that the mid laners have some better defensive tools against getting ganked, and I think that the bot laners are both probably wanting to play pretty safe. So I'm gonna guess that it'll come down in between the junglers somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure where. Could have some involvement from the
Oh my
supports
gosh.
as well.
But if Daydream's not
Daydream.
careful, she's going to be falling. Now has to reset from under the tower. Didn't from the summoner spells, but literally one auto attack and gust of wind would take her down. But Godie's here to match. Just hey, I thought that might have been it there, but we still have a chance for the junglers to tussle. But now look at this. Some pings going to the bot side. It's going to be 4 members looking bot.
Gonna try to set up a dive here, but I think that without a wave, it's gonna be difficult.
Magic's in trouble. There it is. That is going to be the first blood. It's not the jungle. It is the mid laner, Vietnam Dragon, taking down Dr. Magic for 400 gold.
Really nice roam out from Vietnam Dragon. LeBlanc, one of the better champions at roaming, definitely doesn't have any difficulty clearing a wave in mid to get it pushed out. Looks like Vietnam Dragon actually just abandoned the wave and let Nuffies push it in order to roam and get that kill. But that's definitely more value going the way of the LeBlanc. Already had a Dark Seal in inventory, so that's going to be +2 stacks. No assist gold given, but it is an advantage early on in favor of flash abusers.
Yeah, you're exactly right. 800 gold about in their pocket here. No dragon claimed, but even Lean getting a tower plate in the bot lane on Ziggs. With a Rift Herald drop and that satchel charge, remember, so much damage can come out of this champion to burn towers quickly. But already getting 1 tower is pretty awesome to see. So yeah, as you mentioned, a small lead for the flash abusers. And LeBlanc, if we're talking about champions that need damage for this squad, that's the person you want to be seeing picking up the kills early on.
Yeah, definitely want to get him into your damage carries. We'll see if the Garen ends up being the damage carry as well, but
That's
getting
true.
him onto LeBlanc and Ziggs, that's pretty big. Already lost chapter completed for Lean, so using that turret plate gold to set up even more success.
Oh, but now not
important
important is there. Flash forward 100 to 0. Daydream, not a chance to move. Great patience, not important. Staying down there for a while. Getting killed in the other carry. But here on the mid lane, Nuffy's looking aggressively. Does use the ultimate, but the last breath will not find enough damage. Onto the dragon now after that early bot prio. It is going to be flash abusers getting onto this ocean dragon.
Looks like it'll be a trade of objectives here. Topside Rift Herald is going to get taken by Godie, but getting the Drake started on the stack here is going to be a good idea. Using those extra kills to give them an advantage that'll last them the game makes a lot of sense. And going to be an opportunity with the Rift Herald for the side of
Small Broski, those
NwE.
fighting, and then in the mid lane, Small Broski does want to be a big Broski here. You're right, it is going to be Godie claim this up, but Garen might have wanted something to do with that.
Yeah, trying to just be annoying there, but not going to be able to push Godie away. Not enough damage just yet. Nuffy's in trouble.
Oh, Bento might be the one getting cut out, though. Oh, Make Inferno Bomb. No, not going to be enough. Just some trading heavily, but no more kills anymore. And as you said, just a trade of objectives across the map.
We saw a little bit of an invade there coming out from Not Important. Not sure if that stole any.
Oh, Daydream in trouble once again. Misses the flash. Oh, here comes a Tempered Fate. Can they get out of here? They have the ghost, but they're stunned up. One more auto will do it. Not Important picks up that kill. Now Dr. Magic forced to run away. Godie is there, but oh, the failed flash from Daydream is now their second death. They were on the wrong side of the rift and got punished for it.
Yeah, nice play there. Gonna be able to bring the kill to Not Important.
Looking for another one. Dr. Magic goes down 2.
Wow, 2 back-to-back plays there from Not Important means that the
3
invade is
back-to-back?
possible. Godie can't be here either.
No, cannot at all. One more will do it. Flash away, follow from not important. Daydream now has jumped on over, but they don't have flash. They don't have a reset. They have no way out. Daydream, she's forced to run under the tower. Nothing's now here to support, but look at Vietnam Dragon also coming down. They might be looking for more and getting under tower now. Can they get the auto attack? It is going to be Daydream falling as well. Nuffy's now stunned up under tower flash there, but there's the hook. There's the ultimate. Bento might be caught their life, but flash forward. Vietnam Dragon so low under tower. 2 kills. It is traded back. It's a disaster. And the first 2 kills on the board for NwE Delta. Dr. Magic might not be done. Wants to get on the lean. Nuffies is here. Vietnam Dragon, no flash. Ignite now goes down. And just the last 2 members of Flash Abusers are going to limp on out of there with their lives.
I think that it's a little bit of an overstay there. Maybe trying to get that extra kill onto Daydream was a little bit too much. Yeah. But the play as a whole wasn't a failure of a play for the side of Flash Abusers. They're able to pick up a few kills and to be able to get some more pressure on the map. But now we get to see a rotation coming out from Daydream. I like this. Going to be able to get some plates off of the mid lane instead of trying to go back into the Ziggs in bot lane. Let Nuffies farm up that wave. Nuffies already in the area. And that means that the rotation just collects all of the minions instead of letting any of them go to the waste. So a nice little collection of resources job there by NwE Delta.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's just a brief pause. We hopefully we'll get back into it in just a moment. There we are. But yeah, as you mentioned, NwE doing a good job at collecting resources around the map. The Rift Herald that Goaty used to get some more gold to Daydream, that was really smart there, I think. And now only 700 gold separating these 2 teams despite 4 kills in favor of Flash Abusers. And now Flash Abusers are not done yet. Lonely Me does have the flash, does have the ultimate, is going to use the Unstoppable Onslaught and just book it out of here. I mean, they sure look to be a little bit frozen for a moment. I expect this to get back going. But yeah, look at that. Sion just go ahead and drift on out of there. Did not need to use the flash and is going to be safe.
Yeah, using the shorter cooldown makes sense. Now we can see that the dagger was building into a hearthbound axe, so that's going to be, I believe, a stride breaker for small broski. So
I wanted to see a new quiver. I really did, Tiger. I wanted to see, a full crit Garen, but that's not going to be the case.
Well, with the lead that they already have, they can afford to potentially go for a more common Garen build, try to just outpace the side of NwE before they get to the point where you can't kill them. So going to be looking towards that. I also want to see, as the game progresses with this in mind, that we should be looking for some Void staffs coming through on the side of Void or Flash Abusers, not Void Abusers.
I mean, they're going to abuse the Void.
Yeah. That's what we want to see from them. Leandry's now complete for Lean, so that's the first item completion starting to come through for both sides. We can see that Lonely Me, Goaty, and Daydream all have completed their mythics as well. Going to be trying to take some more towers now. Take the tower plates anyways, get into position to get those second items on time as well. It's kind of weird to actually see all of these completed items on the side that's behind on gold when the team that's in front on gold doesn't actually have any completed items other than the Leandries.
But it is going to be the Flash Abusers trying to fight their way into this bot side. NwE Delta is first into this neutral space. Second Dragon now on the map. And it looks like 8 members all down here looking to scuffle for some space. And as you said, the team with the gold lead is not the team that's aggressing early on to the Dragon. And it is going to be NwE starting up this mountain. Vietnam Dragon might be a little bit caught up, is stunned, and there's the Tempered Fate. Daydream, the rest of the squad looking to collapse, is going to distortion out of there, and now the double distortion keeps them safe. That does give an opportunity for Flash Abusers to get onto the objective now. Small Broski is coming down to be a big Broski in the team fight. They are going to be stunned up themselves. Now Goaty's going to turn right onto them. The Mega Inferno Bomb forces a flash from Goaty, and now it's going to be a knockup, airborne, stun, and almost taken down. But the first one is going to be Sejuani falling, followed by the Yasuo. Nuffies hits the ground, and now the last auto attacks from Daydream. Can they go to Broski? Use the Buster Shot to pick up the kill. Goaty jumps to safety, and so does Daydream. It is still going to be a 4 versus 3, and can they get even more? Daydream, a couple more autos, flashes forward. He gets one, and Buster Shot gets it. A W forward now from Daydream. Can they get even more? It's just going to be the Dragon in their favor now. Ultimately, it is going to be just one member falling for NWE, but they take down 3 of their own and win the team fight, and their prize is the Dragon.
And now they've equalized the Drake count, equalized the gold as well, in a perfect position. I think they're right where they want to be. They got the fight they wanted. Immortal Shield Bow is going to be in the inventory of Nuffies pretty soon here. Not able to complete it there with the Berserker's Greaves having to be bought first, but not going to be long now. And once that's here, it's going to be very difficult to win any team fights for the mid-game stage. On the side of Flash Abusers. Going to try to get some picks here, though.
They want even more. Not important needs the last couple of autos. Is stunned. Do they have enough damage to take down Nuffies? They're going to flash away. Dr. Magic and Daydream coming to support, but the first kill, it does go to Flash Abuser's favor. Not important now. Trying to stay on the Lonely Me. Daydream, no flash, no ultimate available yet. Flash now from Lonely Me, followed now. They want Lonely Me. They want to take down this Scion. One more auto will do it. Broski cannot get in range. The flash from Lean. The bouncing bomb takes him down, and that's a kill into Lean's pocket.
A lot of confidence displayed there from Lean to Flash.
No, but now Vietnam Dragon under tower. They're going to fall too. More kills. I mean, there's confidence, but it's also resulting in misplays.
Yeah, nice explosive cask there from Goaty to bring under the tower Vietnam Dragon. A trade of kills. Looks like second Rift Herald going to be started up here by Flash Abusers. Going to try to take this one before they get into any trouble. Any more scuffles going down. Can already see the tower being taken bot here. Stridebreaker now complete for Small Broski. Should be able to win just about any 1v1 matchup at the current time. I think that we could end up seeing something like a Hull Breaker. One thing about this lineup here for the side of Flash Abusers is that they may not want to 5v5, but they can do well in the split push.
But they might be looking to get fought on now. Daydream going so far aggressive with that rocket jump does get a kill. The Rift Herald stops from getting crashed, and now a second kill into their pocket. 2 responded now. NWE Delta on the back of the Herald being dropped. They had an amazing response that results in another 2 kills for them, as well as their mid lane outer tower. You said this was not a team that might have wanted to avoid the 5v5s, but it is going to be NWE Delta taking it to them here and finding the wombo and combo. Vietnam Dragon looking for more, was knocked up. Do they want to go under tower? They do. Here they go. One more auto will do it, but it is Scion falling first. It is Daydream getting up a response kill onto Vietnam Dragon, but now this passive from Scion will be just annoying under tower, but it's no more kills. Another 1-for-1, the outer tower, and what was gold parity is now an advantage for NWE Delta.
And if a 5v5 isn't going to work out well for them, then certainly they don't want to take a 3v5. No. That's what they end up in there, end up taking a few deaths. Able to turn one back onto Lonely Me, so not a total loss there. And we're still pretty close on the gold, but after sending the Rift Herald charge towards the mid lane, and they end up losing it themselves. So Flash Abusers probably not the happiest with the outcome there. Everyone got drawn in, and they weren't able to make any further plays around the map either. They will get their revenge, though, the mid-tier 1 now falling.
Yeah, it does fall with the thanks to Satchel Charge from Ziggs, taking down these towers from like 20% health. So much siege potential from that ability here. Just about a minute until the Dragon here. We'll have to see at this point, who are you kind of favoring in these team fights? I mean, it looks like it's going to keep NWE Delta going forward. They might have found out Bento, and Bento's going to try to run, but the turn onto Dr. Magic, can they get out now? No, it is going to be their support falling instead. Not important, looking to continue up and keep going. Does Nuffy's want it? They do not. They have had enough of that fighty, and now with less than a minute until this dragon here and a number advantage, Vietnam Dragon and the rest of Flash Abusers looks to establish some space in the jungle.
To answer your question, I think that if we go into a situation where the fights are happening on even terms, everything's available for both sides, should look good for NWE. But there's a lot of situations where a pick can come before a fight, and that's what allows some room for Flash Abusers to actually come out on top. They're looking to do that once again, able to find the first kill of that play onto Dr. Magic. Respawn does come through in time for the third Drake of the game. It is going to be a Hex Tech Soul. That's going to be pretty big for whoever can pick it up. And I think that there's going to be a lot of priority around the Drakes coming up throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, but neither top lane are moving yet. It is going to be Lonely Me getting the first move down, and the Mia pings are called, but now they might have a little bit of a collapse. Looking for the Tempered Fate, but it's not landing on anyone. Dr. Magic looking forward, but a great satchel charge disengages. Small Broski opting to stay in the top lane. As you said, this is a big contesting objective, but neither team committing onto it quite yet now. Lonely Me the first one here, and Small Broski just splitting the top lane. And look at Vietnam Dragon. They're in the bot lane. They're saying, you can take the dragon. We're going to take all three lanes and get the priority. As you mentioned, this is a strong dragon with the Hex Tech. But if it means you're losing the rest of your waves and gold, maybe it's not quite worth it. But now Vietnam Dragon in a little bit of a tight spot, but the rest of the team looks like Flash Abusers having a great response after giving up that dragon. It's going to look to push all these other lanes. The mid inner tower falls.
And what I really like is that they committed right away to it.
They sure do. And now they commit on to Daydream. Oh, the burn is enough from Leandres to take down Daydream. They committed, like you were just saying, and they picked up a kill for it. But now look at this. It is going to be a 3v4, but there's the combo. There's the cask. There is Nuffy's trying to get onto Lean, but the disengage is coming through. Rooted, stunned, and taken down is Nuffy's. Now Lonely Me is here, and Goaty forced to run. Dr. Magic also flashing away. Small Broski is here as well. Bento and the rest of the squad from Flash Abusers let's look to take down Lonely Me, but that is one tanky boy. Oh my gosh, Lee now in trouble. No health, no mana. Does get taken down and shut down from Lonely Me, but it is traded back. But a team fight win goes in the favor of the Flash Abusers.
Well, so far, not important as fitting in with the Flash Abusers like a hand in a glove. I think that we had the concern in the early stages about whether it was going to be a problem to have the E-sub, but no such concern anymore.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely. Not important having an amazing performance on the Sejuani in this first game. And Vietnam Dragon looking to take down Daydream once again, but did not quite have the damage to make that happen. Like you said, I mean, not important is gelling so well in this first matchup, being that frontline initiation and finding so many plays. Look at that kill participation. Tiger, this guy's got 13 of 16 KP in this match. This Sejuani's been everywhere. Amazing performance from them.
That's what you want to see with your Sejuani, a lot of that kill participation. A lot of utility is what you expect. And now Small Broski looking for a play on Nuffy's. We could see just right in the beginning of the trade, that's like 30% of the health bar gone from the Yasuo. And there's no recourse. Like, none of the damage went back the way of Small Broski. Obviously, Nuffy's isn't going to be feeling too worse for wear in this particular instance. But if that's how a play starts and there's more follow-up, then it's going to look good for Flash Abusers. So going to be follow-up instead coming from NWE.
Yeah, NWE seems to be getting their members up here first and not important now, trying to get the collapse. Vietnam Dragon nowhere here, so the best case scenario, it is a 4v5. But they're able to force NWE Delta off of it. They had numbers topside, but they didn't want it. Flash Abusers getting the split push, destroying the bot inner tower now, and now taking a gold lead into their own hands here, just playing the map better, it feels like, Tiger.
Yeah, we can see the item difference right now. Already got Void Staff complete here for Vietnam Dragon. Gonna have Shadow Flame. Now Small Broski could be in trouble.
Sure is very low. Airborne knocked up. There's the combo. There's the cask. They do take down Small Broski, but two members there. It could be at still a loss. The minions top lane get an inner tower as well.
Continue to see objectives going the way of Flash abusers. Now Lonely Me gonna try to find a chase down, maybe just looking to pick up some farm down here. Got the Drake coming up in a minute and a half, so any fighting here could be affecting the positioning coming into
Oh
that. Going
my.
to be a little bit of a team effort here into the river.
Oh, here comes Bento, maybe getting trapped. Lonely Me is the frontline initiation. Bento's got to find their way out of here. They use the locket, but it is not enough. Lonely Me is such a big front-lining menace here. Just ran in with the unstoppable onslaught and picked up Bento. They might not even need to take the dragon in 50 seconds. They're looking just to push through the bottom lane. Vietnam Dragon in trouble. Oh, but is going to just disengage. It is going to be the bot outer tower. Only the second tower now taken from the Flash abusers.
And that means there's a lot of standing gold left. The lead has been brought immediately back down near 2,000 gold. Still in favor of the Flash abusers, but not nearly by as much. And that means that they're going to have difficulty walking into contest. They don't have many more towers to take, although if they are able to split push for a little while longer, they could start knocking on the Nexus pretty quickly here. Small Broski going to try to take a tower down. Second item was Black Cleaver. A little bit interesting. I was wondering if we might not see a hull breaker here coming through the way that Small Broski has been playing, but instead going to go for the item that works more effectively in the team fights. So trying to at least give themselves some options here are Flash abusers. And now that they've put themselves in position, looks like they do want to go for a team fight 5v5.
Man, they might be looking for the 5v5, and we'll see if they can be favored now. Vietnam Dragon hanging around on the side and does want to try to get Daydream here. That's who they need, but here comes the Tempered Fate onto two. Daydream already chunked out and taken down. First member is to fall. The other four members staying strong from NwE, and can they have the damage? NwE's in the middle of the fight, and a huge knock-up coming out. It is going to be Goaty picking up a kill onto Vietnam Dragon. Just one member on each side falling, but now not important, and the rest of the squad of Flash abusers need to run. Bento is low. Small Broski also out of that play here. They got Daydream early on, but they still had enough damage. And it looks like it's going to be the side of NwE Delta getting back onto the Dragon. Can Not Important stick around here. They are going to be spotted, and Small Broski is healing up. This fight might not be over quite yet. Small Broski now getting engaged on, does not have the Demacian Justice, and will need to just run away with their own 2 feet. Lean is here, maybe over the wall, not important in the area, 500 health, but smited away. Goaty picks that one up, and now Small Broski in the mid lane on a Lonely Me. Ultimately, just the soul point claimed for NwE Delta.
That exchange is really bad news for Flash abusers because they were able to blow up Daydream at the beginning of the fight before putting out any damage from that Tristana, really, and it still ended up just being a 1-for-1 with NwE taking the Drake. That means that they have a difficult time winning these fights, even if they're able to get the prime target selection and finish off the big damage carry at the beginning right away. That means it's going to be pretty much impossible going forward for them to expect to win any of these fights, even if they're able to find good conditions to start them out on. And that means, in my eyes, that we're going to have to see them play around just clearing out waves, which they're very good at clearing out waves, but they need to have the 4-man stack just doing that and poking out the enemy team, while Small Broski goes for some split pushing action. But unfortunately, there's just not that much left to split push. Yeah. It's going to be difficult to set up a way to actually end the game.
But maybe now this is the pick that we need to see from Flash abusers. Nuffies might be in trouble, gets stunned up, locked up, shut down. Vietnam Dragon gets a kill for themselves. And like you said, Small Broski needs to be a split push threat, but look at this big tanky Scion. They're sitting on 6,300 health, Tiger. It's actually insane the amount of additional health that they have. But Small Broski making light work of it. Look at that. No! miscalculated within 100 damage. It was close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And unfortunately, Garen is neither of those. They are going to live and escape with a sliver of health.
Imagine if you could play like horseshoes with Garen. Hopefully, he's not getting any hand grenades, but like
No.
it would be pretty fun to play horseshoes with Garen. I think he'd probably
Yeah,
be pretty good
absolutely.
at it.
No, I think he would be, and man, that Demacian's Justice did almost look like a hand grenade with the amount of damage it did to try to explode Lonely Me. But I mean, hey, it wasn't quite close enough. And yeah, I mean, I'd put him on my horseshoes team, I think.
Well, he gave it his best effort. I don't think that there was any cost to going for that play.
But now
Lonely
he
Me
knows
was
he
able to
wins it
survive
too,
it.
so he wants to take it again.
Yeah, he's gonna have it just about back up here coming up pretty soon. Ended up getting a few more DPS style items. Got the Last Whisper, I believe. No, Mortal Reminder, excuse me, and the Berserker's Greaves. So gonna have a little bit of extra damage that way coming out, but still going to be difficult to shred through this massive health bar. It looks like it's about up to 70,000 now. Already 13,000 extra health from the heart steal. So only
13,000
stacking it up. Yeah.
or 1,300? Yeah, 1,300. Not quite
Oh,
13,000. That would be pretty ridiculous if this guy had 20k health. But not too far off of it. But like you mentioned, Small Broski, this is the split push you wanted to see here, Tiger. I mean, even with that wave just right in the face, Small Broski does not care. And the rest of NWE does not feel confident enough to start a Baron 4v4. So it's kind of just a stalemate at this point, I expect, until the next Dragon spawns.
yeah, we're just getting the game going later and later. Interesting little amendment to the build that we're seeing from Daydream going for the Hex Drinker.
Yeah.
Going to try to absorb a lot of this damage at the beginning of the fight. I think that makes a lot of sense going towards the Maw, but also going to get a Bloodthirster, trying to get a little extra healing as well. Navori Quick Blades completed as the second item there. I like the build path here, but it looks a little bit awkward because right now it's at an in-between stage. It's kind of like when you evolve your level 1 starter into the middle tier starter in Pokemon, and they kind of have a little bit of an awkward teenage phase.
But this is not awkward at all. Nuffy's 3 items and wants to fight, but it is Goaty going low. First one to fall is Nuffy's, and now the teleport comes in, but Small Broski takes him down themselves. Now here's the unstoppable onslaught. Can they get, but not important, tanking it up. Oh, Daydream is still alive and dishing out damage, but not for long. Does fall themselves. Dr. Magic forced to flash and run. It's only the tanky Scion, the last one here. This Pokemon is evolved themselves, but will they have enough damage to take them down? The last one just buying time, and Lonely Me hits the grave, is captured inside the Mega Ball, and it is going to be a Dragon claim from Flash abusers.
Yeah, Lonely Me takes forever to knock down. He's basically like a neutral objective. He's starting to get Baron levels of health, but at the end of the day, he's also got Baron levels of damage. So the whole team hitting him for free, gonna be just fine. Gonna be able to take him down at the end of the day. And speaking of Baron, it looks like gonna be started up here. The DPS to Baron isn't that great from the entirety of
and Goaty's here.
The Flash abusers. Goaty is here, has vision on the pit. We'll see if that's going to be able to yield a potential steal.
We will see if they can make something happen here. They might be looking to take an engage. Oh, will they be able to? But it is going to be the original kill onto Goaty. Now that might make it even easier for them to fight. Oh, but it's going to be a trade back. Bento falls as well, 1 for 1. Without a jungler, I think this is so hard for NWE to take the fight.
Well, it looks like they want to go
straight. They want it, though. They don't have the jungler here.
They have good DPS. They've got 2 crit users in the Tristana and Yasuo. They're not going to take it all the way down because they don't want to risk it. We're going to be able to connect that Mega Inferno Bomb to get some extra damage down, but I think that both sides are able to disengage from the Baron, and we're at a really interesting spot now. Going to see that the 4th item completed for Small Broski is that Dead Man's Plate. Going to get the extra movement off of that. but really committing to being able to fight here as a team. I think that makes some level of sense here, because what we've seen is that they can set up some plays around the team fight that are actually able to give them advantages. Flash abusers are, and that when they do that, then they want to be able to have the full versatility of the Garen within the team fight, be able to do damage to the backline carries, be able to survive long enough. But that means that they don't have any more options on the split push, because I don't think that we can see Small Broski able to fight Lonely Me in the 1v1 right now, because there's just too much health on that Scion.
Yeah, Scion is so massive, and Daydream, with that magic resist and that build that you had mentioned, is able to survive quite a bit of the onslaught. Vietnam Dragon, though, is at a massive power spike themselves, and as you mentioned, this team is about to turn into Void Abusers because they got one completed and a second on the way for this side. And now, I mean, that's maybe the shred that you need here. But I mean, other key items being completed as well. Force of Nature now on Lonely Me. I mean, how do you get through this guy? Look at that health, level 18 as well, nearly 8,000 health. You mentioned it. This is Baron levels of health 35 minutes into this game.
I believe he's also popped an elixir. I see some aura coming off of him. I'm going to try to confirm that.
It doesn't look
Maybe
like
it's
it's
something
Elixir of
else.
Iron. I don't think it is.
I don't see any buff on him that says that he's got an elixir, so maybe I'm just
Buff that
reading it
he's
wrong.
going in now, it seems to be. Oh, but it is going to be the interrupt onto Vietnam Dragon on the engage. Daydream aggressively jumping forward, and Bento falling as well. Lonely Me doesn't need no buff to take the team fight into their own hands. It is going to be a cross-map play, though. Garen trying to get something done, but not important. Under tower is falling down. Lean now needs to hold the base by themselves, but it is ultimately a 1v4. But the team is undecided. Can they stop? They don't have a minion wave, but one is right behind it. Oh, we'll have to see Garen now resetting. Can these two members hold off for 30 seconds? The inhibitor falls.
No, I wanted to see the base race.
I want to see the base race too, but it will not happen, but neither will the end of the game. I thought NWE Delta was going to try to blitz it down there. I think Small Broski could have tried to stay and hold it off, but instead, with the numbers here, they're going to trade onto the Baron. Lonely Me, no buffs needed, no elixirs needed, and they just engaged and ran into all of them. Took the team fight, took the inhibitor, now claimed the Baron. Less than a minute until their soul spawns.
Well, that was some decisive shot calling there from NWE. Once they were able to get the kills, they went straight towards the mid lane, went to knock down the inhib, and that was enough pressure to force Small Broski to recall, try to deal with that, make sure that the game didn't end against them. So going to at least get the advantage off of that, of avoiding the death. And now going to be able to at least force a flash from Nuffies as well. Going to look to stop the soul stacking as well. 3 points in the dragon count for the side of NWE. Flash abusers only 2. Look for 1 here.
This is going to be the big fight, like you had mentioned. And I mean, I'm just favoring this NWE team more and more the later the game goes on. This team has officially turned into Void Abusers. Flash Abusers now have 2 Void Staffs in their inventory, all completed. But that's about the extent of the damage, and I don't know if it's going to be enough now. They are going to be looking for it, and the Mega Inferno Bomb is going to get some good damage, but Tempered Fate responds to it. Small Broski is going to be in the front line, but here's the unstoppable charge forward. Small Broski has to flash away, and Lonely Me just has so much health. It is on a Daydream. Can Vietnam Dragon find something on the back line? They might be able to get Dr. Magic. The Daydream now jumps over on top of them and does take them down. Teleport now coming through from Garen. They got the reset, but Lonely Me is still full health. The Dragon Soul now claim 9,000 health on Lonely Me, and they are forced to run. The members from all of NWE Delta are going to keep on chasing, and there is nothing Flash Abusers can do except to fall one by one. Another flash forward and jumping into the pit, and now the wave is here. The minions will be right behind them, and this might be it for game number 1.
That fight was like ordering a pizza at a restaurant. it's like you're going to get it eventually, but the development takes forever. But once it does get there, it's pretty good. Going to be enough to get the soul,
Oh
and
my
it's going to be
gosh.
one last kill. That should do it here for game number one. NWE waiting it out, playing the long con, going to be able to finish it after the last team fight goes their way. They pick up the Hex Tech Soul and finish off game number one, going up 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0. And I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, like it got there, right? Like it took a while. They got there. They had the scaling. They had what they needed, and they had like a 9,300 health Scion at the end of that game.
That's a lot of health. That
Yeah, yeah, that's a
that
ridiculous
Scion
amount of health.
Scion also max damage in the game. 42,000
Oh my
damage dealt.
gosh.
No one else able to eclipse that. So Lonely Me just kind of popping off that entire game. The rest of the team doing a good job as well of stalling out what was a little bit of a disadvantageous early game. They were falling behind. They gave up a few picks, and that's partially just to the credit of Flash abusers being able to utilize their comp, going for some dives, some nice roams coming out from Vietnam Dragon, particularly. But at the end of the day, they aren't able to come through in the end in the last team fight. And I think that that was in large part due to the way that they drafted. So I think that going into game number two, that hopefully they'll be able to make some adjustments.
Yeah, and what kind of adjustments do you need to see? Do you just need something to kill a frontline tank? Do you need to ban a Scion? Like, unless you're Vayne at 6 items there, like, I don't see any way you're going to get through the Scion in that kind of matchup. So, I mean, maybe you should play higher, faster tempo just to try to not let Scion get level 18 and get 9,000 health. But even that, like, I mean, what kind of adaptations are we going to see different champions hitting the ban table this game?
Could be some different bands. Hopefully, they'll be able to avoid continuing the usage of the emergency sub. That could help out a little bit, get an extra ban in there. But even if that's not the case, I think that they can definitely put together a team comp that either is able to team fight more effectively or commits harder to being in the 1-4. So I thought that the best times in that game that we saw coming out from Flash abusers was when they kind of had their 4-man group and they kind of put Small Broski off in a side lane, able
Mhm.
to get a lot of split pushing done. And that put a lot of pressure on the map for them. I think that I remember them trading a Drake for about 2 towers or maybe even 3, and that was a really good moment for them because they played the macro out well. They did a good job of forcing out the 5-man collection of the enemy team and then punishing them for moving away from their waves. But if they're going to do that, I'd like to see them commit to that for the whole game. Maybe pick something instead of the Garen, you go with like an Alawi or a Yorick that's even better at forcing down those towers. Or else you can go with a comp that's going to have something like keep your front line the way it is, but add something that's got damage to help out, like a Fiora, or go with a Cassiopeia in the mid lane or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, you're right. There needs to be some kind of answer, whether it is split push. And it felt like, I mean, even at the end of the game there, Small Broski was not willing to commit all the way to the split. Like you said, we wanted to see a base race, but that just didn't happen. So, yeah, you're right. Like lots of adaptations that could come through. You commit to the split, you commit to early game, or maybe you just commit to shredding through that kind of pick, or you just kind of ban some tanks altogether. Granted, there's other options there, but I mean, Scion we've been seeing as a premier tank champion here. I mean, at that point, I mean, it was just absolutely disgusting how much health and damage that character put out here. So we're going to take just a very short break as we get set and settled for game number 2 here between NWE Delta and Flash Abusers. But when they are ready for draft, we will be ready for them. So stay where you are, grab something quickly if you need. Otherwise, we'll be getting into the game in just a moment. It is time for game number 2 of the evening of this best of 3 between NwE Delta and Flash Abusers. Flash Abusers coming off of a loss, NwE taking the win after a massive performance on Scion. And already into the second ban, there are a couple of draft adjustments that look like are going to be made here. And so looks like Tristana being taken off the table. Daydream had a couple of mistakes here, but ultimately was such a great champion at disengaging those fights and holding space that, Flash User says we don't want to play against it again.
Yeah, fair enough. Also notable, we do have a roster swap, Tsunani coming in for the side of Flash Abusers, so there will not be any longer a penalty. Tsunani isn't an emergency sub, but a regular sub, so going to be able to reclaim some of their draft territory off of that. And I've always thought that red side was the preferable side to draft from, so maybe Flash Abusers can be able to get a better result, considering that they will have that last pick available to them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And they're really changing up their gameplay in game 2. They're saying, we're just going to ban what you just played. And honestly, Goatee's Gragas, I think that is a very, very reasonable choice to ban away. Like you mentioned, it is going to be a different jungle matchup. And so maybe you're coming in as the starting jungle. You're like, get this guy off of Gragas. Tsunani's saying, I don't want to play against this champ again. So they are going to be taking that away. And so we'll have to see, as you said, the counter pick opportunities, what they're going to be looking for in the later parts of the draft. And also what NWE Delta is going to try to slam B1, even something potentially like Annie or something, maybe another marksman champ. We'll have to see what NWE wants as their first pick.
Well, Annie didn't get picked up at all in that last draft, but definitely a strong champion right now. I like the B1 ADC.
Yeah.
Selection. I think that bot lane in B1 right now, because there's just so many strong picks, and I like going with a champion that has multiple different styles they can play. Now that said,
Oh, I might have lost you for a sec there, Tiger. But you're right about the kind of jungle pick or the ADC pick. Oh, yeah, there does have to be some DPS somewhere, and we'll have to see where they want that to be. If it is going to be from, either their mid lane. We saw that there were maybe a little bit of issues with the DPS in the last game from how they decided to draft it. Oh, and I can't hear you right now, so. Um, so it does feel like at this point I'm going to try to get Tiger back in here because I think it's just going to be myself for some issue. We'll try to get him in here in just a moment. But it looks like at this draft at this point here, we do have the Kalista now coming in. I'm seeing this as a support pick, probably. You can play this lane both ways. NWE Delta picking up that first win in game number 1. I'll find him more success. So really going with some of the meta, and I think flash abusers as well, notably picking up the Zaya and the Recon as an option. So we'll have to see what that might mean here for this next game. Let's see if we figure out audio in just a moment here as well. As we going, I think not anymore. Tiger, you still there? But second half of bans have come through. Garen and LeBlanc taking off the table, two champions that the Flash abusers played to great success. Or at least, I mean, they pick up the win on it, but at least some solo lane that they enjoyed here. And these final picks of draft, let's see what these might be. All right, Tiger, you back now?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you back on stream now as well, so that's good to see. Sorry about that. There's some kind of weird audio issue going on.
That's okay. Now we've got a little bit of extra draft to go over, so hopefully.
Yeah, I think we were both kind of calling the draft because I could still hear you for a while. I didn't really know what was going on, but I mean, what are you kind of thinking of what these teams have started to create? This is some crazy champions from NWE Delta here, notably like a Callista in the bot lane, either as a support or the marksman with Vera as support, and then a Poppy for the top lane.
I believe that we saw in one of the pro leagues within the past week a Callista Varus bot lane where the Callista was the farming champion. So I'm going to assume that that's what we're seeing here from NWE Delta. Nice that they're able to adapt that way to the meta as seen by the pros. I think that it's a little bit weaker with some of the updates to the support items, but I think it should still be all right. We'll definitely get priority in that bot lane, and that means that for the rest of the map, they're going to play a little bit weaker side, try to scale up, allow that bot lane to get their priority, get at their advantage. I like the Udyr as a pick that could potentially go for some dives there. I believe it's going to be Udyr jungle, Poppy top. Poppy is the response to Ornn. But for flash abusers, now they've drafted a Giga team fight comp that's going to have great engage between Rakan, Wukong, Ornn, and then they've got a lot of DPS to follow up on it with the Zaya, and they've got some poke to set up some long range engages as well. Maybe get some picks with the Zoe. So I really like how they've adjusted their draft, completely changing from game number one. And the style that they played game number one, they played quite effectively, but they just didn't have any gas left once they got to the late game. So they've completely changed that here.
You're absolutely right about the late game, and there is still feels like some gas with the Zaya scaling. You know, you mentioned about Zoe for some picks, but like when you have Ornn and Wukong, I feel like you kind of just have a go button. You even got Rakan as well. Like, I mean, I wanted to see more like just like DPS control mage, Victor, Azir, something like that. Like, do you think Poppy was or Zoe was the right pick as an R5 into the Victor?
So I think that the Zoe is mainly picked here for the laning and 2v2. Gonna try to get some advantages early on against this Victor. I think that that's okay. I don't think that they needed to add that much to their team fight because they're already pretty good against what they're up against. It's going to be double marksman, and I'm expecting it to be a more poke-focused Varus as the support pick here, most likely. And then it's going to be a Callista that's going to be stronger in the early stages of the game. And then they've got more poke with Victor, and then they've got Frontline and Udyr Poppy. And if Udyr Poppy get out of hand, then it's going to be difficult to deal with them. But if they get into the late game and are on even footing, I don't think that they needed it to be that Azir or Victor style champion that would make them win the team fights even harder. They still win it, so they can focus their mid lane pick more around the early game.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that early game, mid game, or mid lane pick for the early game does pay off for this Flash Abusers. Remember, they are down. This is like a best of three here, and they're down that first game. And so instead of matching some of the late game scaling or having something that has a little bit less variance, they have opted for a very high variance, high precision champion with Zoe. But I mean, there's three targets, Victor, Varus, Callista, that if you can get a Sleepy Trouble bubble onto, they will get absolutely nuked in that game, especially as you get some items there. So still lots of options, I think, for this squad, for the Flash Abusers. And then it is all going to be about Zaya in the late game. This is going to be your DPS threat. This is your damage. And now you just got to stand behind these tanky frontliners with Wukong and Ornn. And hopefully they can pick up this win and force us to get to a game number 3.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I think that both of these teams are going to be looking to play a pretty heavy macro game here, because we can see that they're going to have pressure on opposite sides of the map in the early game. It's going to be bot side focus coming out from NwE. It's going to be top side focus coming out from Flash Abusers, or more like mid side, but mid to top lane, anyways. And they're going to try to scale up through their bot lane. So I'm thinking that we want to see some Drake stacking going on with this Varus Callista bot lane. And if that can happen for NwE, I do think that they have a shot at this game, particularly if they can get an advantageous soul coming through. They could get something like a Cloud Soul would be really good for Victor. If they could get an Infernal Soul, it would be huge for pretty much their entire team. Hextech Soul's just busted anyways. But if they could get one of those three, I think that they'd be in good shape.
We'll have to see how the dragons factor into this game as well. But I mean, we'll have to see what happens when we load onto the Rift. We're just about 2 minutes away from getting onto the Rift. We'll get set and settled, and then we will jump on. So hang tight for a couple of minutes as the spectator delay counts down. And when we are back, it is continuing on the Style Season 14 playoffs between NWE Delta and Flash Abusers. Stay where you're at. We are back onto the Rift. It is game number 2. It is NwE Delta, and it is Flash Abusers, and it is Llama and Tiger. A couple animals coming on the Rift today. And now we got to see if Flash Abusers can bring out the animal inside in the second game to stay alive in this best of 3 playoffs.
Going to be looking for that. Particularly the animal is going to be inside Goatee playing that Udyr. Going to be multiple types of animals coming through.
Yo, where's the llama form? You got your own form. I want one.
Well, I mean, I used to have an Udyr form, but not anymore. They changed them to be the Freljordian demigods, which I think makes more sense canonically, but it takes away the tiger form from existence as well. So unfortunate there, but I like the skin synergy coming through from the side of Flash Abusers. They're able to find all 3 of the evil Star Guardians. So like they've got the dark side turning with Zoe, and then the Zaya Rakan that turned over to the dark side because of Zoe. So I think that's kind of a neat little thing that they've got going for them. We'll see. That's obviously not going to give them any in-game buff, but it's going to give them maybe a morale boost that they're able to do that and show it off on stream.
And maybe that's why they went with the Zoe picks. They had the matching Skinergy, and sometimes that's all it takes, right? Maybe that's what they needed here. But just because you got the Skinergy might mean that you don't have the Winnergy, but we'll have to see if that will be the case as well. Both these jugglers pathing opposite sides now, and not too much action in the early game. I'm interested to see what NwE can do on this Poppy pick. Again, not a very well-known pick in the top lane right now.
I think that a lot of the idea is that you can stop the searing charge from coming through, stop some of the knockups. You can also stop Ornn from recasting his ult if you can get on top of him. So there's a good counter pick in the Poppy to Ornn, but I have my concerns for the entirety of the draft about how having the Poppy versus having the Ornn is going to affect the team fights. But clearly, if NwE can get ahead in lane, that's going to be a help to the team. So going to try to do that and keep Small Broski from having an impact on this game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We'll see what kind of impact Small Broski can, because we saw the Garen, but honestly, after getting the towers and the inner towers, that was kind of about all the impact that they had. The Ignite use now from Vietnam Dragon, but I'll have to see, as you said, the impact from this top lane champ. I think Ornn is such a strong just champion to go along with some of the other scaling elements that we see from this team drafted. So I mean, we'll have to see. And, both these junglers now finishing up their full clear and just completely staying away from each other here so far early on.
Yeah, going to be pathing opposite directions, which is kind of what we expected, because we wanted to see the resources from NwE invested towards this bottom side of the map. The path was towards bot side. It was a full clear, so not going to go for any ganks off the back end of it.
Wow, but look at that damage bot. Nothing going on quite yet. I thought there might have been a little bit more of an aggressive trade, but just being patient there. Let's speak about patience. Look at Tsunami in the mid lane here. Oh, flash forward. There's the Drowsy. Do they have the damage? Can they burst it out in time? Oh, a couple more autos might do it, but instead, NwE is patient and saves the flash.
Apparently, Vietnam Dragon just got Ignite back up. I'm not sure if that came through just too late. We saw it used in a trade earlier on. So
I think that might have been one of the bubbles or one of the balloons there that she popped and got and just immediately used. But yeah, you're right. Did have the Ignite, at least in their inventory. Still their own Ignite, I thought.
So with that in mind, Vietnam Dragon coming up a little bit short on the damage there. NwE's able to just reset and teleport in. Probably wanted to get the reset off anyways. And with that teleport advantage towards the mid lane, going to be helpful for NwE's to get that reset and be able to immediately push the wave in. And while we have a moment here, we can talk about all of the other summoner spells and rune choices that are interesting. Daydream going with the lethal tempo Varus build, so not going to be seeing any poke Varus here today. I appreciate that. Got, of course, Summon Airy for Nuffies, trying to get as much poke damage out in lane as possible. And then as far as the summoner spells go, it is Ignite for Vietnam Dragon, so only one teleport available for flash abusers. Cleanse available for Lean, going from safe on the Xayah to hyper safe on the Xayah. But also going to be a Ghost available for Daydream, trying to affect this engage potential that the bot lane has, trying to turn their poke into all-ins.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It was great analysis there across the board for some of these rune choices. And I mean, especially around these level 6 timers is where I want to see these teams meeting up and maybe looking to fight. Goaty really, as you called out with the draft, wanting to play around the spot side here. We'll see if that does result in an early dragon take as well. Doesn't seem like Goaty has started it up quite yet, but just some more trade topside. Broski now grounded, knocked up, but now Tsunani is going to be here. Can they get enough damage? Oh, there's the ultimate traded back. Well, Broski might be in trouble, but Lonely Me does have to flash away.
Lonely Me playing the matchup perfectly, able to cancel the Searing Charge with the Steadfast Presence, and then drops the Keeper's Verdict to be able to stop the Call of the Forge God from getting recasted. Unfortunately, not able to take it all the way down to a kill because Tsunani was in the area, too threatening to stay on, try to finish off the job. But that does mean that we see why the Poppy counter came in, and now we've got fighting in the river.
Yeah, Nuffies was level 7 and used that ultimate themselves, was able to get down the dragon as part of that play as well. The Chaos Storm does not pick up a kill, but at least it deters anything else. The Cloud Dragon is going to be secured, and the second one is going to be the Mountain. So no Mountain Soul this game. Whenever we're going to see a Hex again, Lonely Me might be looking under tower, does want to get this first blood for themselves, but one auto too short. Small Broski does survive and now is still forced to run, but the first blood still yet to be claimed.
Yeah, Lonely Me waiting for the tackle to come back up, was running under the tower there, had the minions under the tower, so that was a possibility. Small Broski will lose a rather large part of a wave here off of the back end of that play, and we see the CS lead accumulating for Lonely Me, up about 11 right now. Going to be able to try to extend that, and the wave might be bouncing back as well, which would be really bad news for Small Broski. So gonna hope that isn't the case for his sake, but gonna be a difficult situation if the Poppy is winning the matchup and able to freeze the wave.
Wow, they use the Chain of the Corruption to try to get enough damage. Bento now in trouble, is forced to run the flash, so Lean doesn't fall, but Bento does. Summoner spells expended from Lean, and Bento kept theirs, but did not keep their health above 0. It's going to be the first blood claimed from Daydream in the bot lane.
A great piercing arrow that comes through and able to connect onto Lean before the flash and also finishes off Bento. So well done there, able to get that first blood. Going to be able to expedite the first item coming through. I think that it's a pretty big power spike to get that Immortal Shield Bow when you can. So that's going to feel pretty good for Daydream, having that first blood on the table. Nice job getting to level 6 first. That was the big difference maker there. Lean not able to take over to level 6, which is why the flash had to come out. Bento still level 5 as well when that went down. So there wasn't a threat of a counter engage coming through either. Daydream doing a good job of making the play happen and able to get the first blood as such, even though we see that the CS difference is actually in favor of Lean so far.
Yeah, just in that one lane though, because if we look across the map, mid lane and top lane, both the solo lanes for NwE Delta at their own gold advantage. Not only that, but they got the first dragon and now looking for the Rift Herald as well. Tsunani stepping a little far up, but does have to use a clone to disengage with less than 1,000 health on it. It will be smited away. Goaty does claim it. And this gold lead, even though it's just one kill, 2,000 gold in the advantage of NwE early game. Very different from the early game we saw from last game.
Yeah, I think that it's mostly in that CS as well because no plates have been taken down by either side just yet. already 10 minutes in. I've seen towers taken before 10 minutes, but not going to be the case this
Oh,
time.
I've seen Lean getting taken 1v1, falls in a counter kill mid lane. Nuffies is tick, 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 boom. But here's Goaty is CC immune and wants to take the fight for themselves. Vietnam, no way out, but does flash asleep and will run. I thought they were going to be food for this Udyr, but that Tiger is not eaten tonight.
Gonna be able to escape with just the one kill there. So we got kills cross map, both sides able to pick one up at the end of the day, so that kind of evens out. But getting the kill
Oh,
on the Vietnam Dragon means that in the lane where we expected it to be favorable, it will
yeah.
be.
But here's the counterplay topside. Oh, an amazing keeper's verdict pushes away Tsunami from the R2, but Small Broski's got enough in the tank skis to take a kill for themselves and shut down. Not a shutdown, but at least a kill over to Lonely Me. Good pressure there.
Yeah, gonna be able to pick that one up. Tsunami has been going pretty heavily towards that
Oh,
top lane throughout the game.
good flash. But now Tsunami, what are you doing there, buddy? There's no play at all. Goaty just slapping away. Phoenix stands now a little bit more damage. Will do it. Does survive and holds the flash. Small Broski, not the same luck for them. Does have to expend their own. But Goaty, that's going to be one fish without out of water and not going to be able to get any kills for themselves.
Gonna be able to push the enemy top side off the map, though, the very least. Get the reset through and now start farming the bot side camps into the Mountain Drake coming up. You're just a few seconds away. I think that they'll still want to fight for this. Even though they gave up a few kills, it's still about a 2,000 gold lead in favor of NWE. So I think they want to go for this play. Looking to pick up some kills potentially as well while it goes down. Nuffy's getting a good trade onto Vietnam Dragon there.
Yeah.
And now they can set up around this area, use the Scryer to take out some wards. Not going to immediately go down onto the Drake, though. Just trying to find the right moment to do so and avoid getting into a confrontation.
You're absolutely right. And I know you were talking about Daydream getting that first item, but it is going to actually be a Blade of the Ruined King as their rush for this Varus. Like you mentioned, trying to look for the right angle, but with the pressure from the Herald, it has just given the green light for Goaty to go ahead and start up this Mountain Dragon. Less than 3,000 health, and just the rest of the members of NWE have enough pressure that this Dragon will be claimed without a problem for the side of NWE Delta.
Interesting choice to go the direction of the Blade of the Ruined King over the Immortal Shield Bow. Still going to have similar effects, but a lot better in 1v1 situations. So I wonder if Daydream is anticipating being quite
Oh,
often alone on the map.
Unani spotted. Can they get on to the Callista? They can. Dr. Magic forced the flash away, but the Train of Corruption holds them in place. Bento so low, ticking down, but the first kill is traded back. 1 for 1 on each side. Tsunami forced to run, forced to flash. Follow from Daydream. The Ghost gets it. A double kill now for Daydream, and she is still going. Flash away. Vietnam Dragon. A couple more autos will do it. The pull back from the feathers. Lean gets the shutdown and takes one more for themselves. Now Daydream is the one seeing black and white, and Lean now 2-1 on the Zaya.
I think it was a 2 for 2 plus the Drake in favor of NWE, but it was unfortunate for Daydream running out of mana there. That was all that prevented that, in my estimation, from turning into a quadra kill. So it does end up giving over the shutdown. Goaty now looking for Lean. No ultimate available, but does have cleanse.
Yeah, and so just will be forcing them out of there. Dr. Magic went down so quickly that they were oh my gosh, a trade under tower. Lonely Me is Lonely No Mo is going to pick up one kill for themselves in the top lane, but it's traded immediately right back. But denies another lane, so that denies another wave there. So still CS advantage looks like for NWE Delta's top laner.
I'm taking a moment to appreciate the nerf to Umbral Glaive, where if a ranged person uses it, they only get 2 stacks off of the ward instead of 3. I hate Umbral Glaive. I wish they would just remove the item from the game. But I have to respect that it's a valuable buy for those that can get it. And getting that as an early first item's got to feel good for Dr. Magic.
But now Dr. Magic doesn't have flash and might not be feeling very good for much longer. Oh, the flash forward from Lean, getting the 2v2 kill. That was the 2v2 we wanted to see. Lean takes their third, and Dr. Magic falls for the second time this game.
Good fates called before dying, though, to make sure Daydream could get out alive, but unfortunate for Dr. Magic in that case, ends up falling once again. But that does mean that there's opportunity on the opposite side of the map, potentially to look for plays. Seeing an invade from Goaty, going to try to steal away a red buff, it looks like. Trying to flip kind of the map right now. And now we'll see the rotations coming through because Daydream taking that tower in the bot side means that there's no more tier 1 in the bot side to take. So go somewhere else where you can take a tier 1 tower. Makes a lot of sense to me. NwE's going to be in trouble, though.
Play, yeah. NwE already flashing out, does not have that anymore. Lean might be looking for something, but he is drowsy and falls asleep. The feathers are enough. Lean on a rampage.
And all of a sudden, both of the bot laners in the strongest spot of anyone in the game. Still a 2,000 gold advantage, approximately, in favor of NwE. They've just done a good job of farming, getting objectives off the map. They've taken the first 2 Drakes, also gotten 2 towers. Looking for the second Rift Herald now. Could end up in a fight.
Sure could, but here comes Small Broski. They're going to be looking to go, but Dr. Magic 100-0. The Rift Herald will be theirs as well. Daydream forced to run away, as do the rest of the members of NwE Delta. That is the team fight claim. The gold lead remains the same, but it is Rift Herald in the pocket of Small Broski.
Going to be able to find that first kill, and that's all they need. So they end up picking up the Rift Herald. Can get some gold later from it, but they're going to have to find a good target, a tower that they can take down. Top lane, if they can get a charge, should be able to go down, but not sure if it would go anywhere else.
Oh, but now the 2v2 top side as well. Tsunami forced to run. Chain Corruption was used, but it was on to the clone. Vietnam Dragon going low, blow for blow with Nuffies. Oh, is going to be forced to run away. Lonely Me gets onto Lean, but here comes the feathers getting pulled back. Can they kite it out? The Keeper's Verdict knocked him up for a while, but the Gale Force away. It is still Vietnam Dragon living, and the laser does miss from Nuffies. Vietnam Dragon down to the tower, and the turret slays the dragon, and it's going to be an execute for the Zoe.
But with all of that time being spent chased around the map, that's going to allow the top lane tower to go down. NwE continuing to expand their lead now, trying to take advantage of the moment that they've been given. Well, actually, I shouldn't say expand their lead because it's just stagnated around 2,000 gold, but they get extra map pressure, which is the big thing that they are making out of these towers. Goaty trying to find a little bit of some poke before this next Drake spawns. It's going to be Infernal map, Infernal Soul this game, trying to land some more poke before the fight starts. This is what this comp does so well. You got to land the poke if you're NwE.
Forward. They don't need any more poke because it is time for Lonely Me to engage. Does force the ultimate away, and Bento needs to run as well. Can they get on Lonely Me? They cannot. All these members are so low. Small Broski wants a little mo. They are going to be able to take down Nuffies to start out this fight. And now Goaty is airborne. All 5 members alive, but now one is traded back. It is a double kill for Daydream. And now the rest of the members of Flash Abusers do have to run, but Lonely Me trying to stay alive. Oh, Daydream is full health, lands a Chain of Corruption. Tsunami cannot go in. They are forced to run away. Daydream goes forward, and one more auto will do it. Flash as well. And now it is going to be one additional kill for NwE Delta, and also likely the Dragon in their sights. 3-4-2, an advantage of NwE Delta, and maybe the soul point to go as well.
Great cleanup from Daydream, able to get the health bars so low as NwE at the beginning of the fight. Daydream walks in, and this is what I'm talking about. Varus doesn't need to build lethality to have a ton of poke, able to get immediate double kill with the piercing arrow as soon as Daydream steps up to the fight, able to turn it into a third kill on the back end. Infernal Drake taken, and now Infernal Soul going to be in their grasp, coming up in just over 4.5 minutes now. They'll be looking for that one. And for the side of Flash Abusers, they're going to have to figure out how to set themselves up for a winning team fight before then. It's going to be difficult. They do have Lean in a pretty strong spot on the Zaya, so going to try to get to 2 items there. NwE Quick Blades should be acquirable by then. Just got to farm up a little bit more to get there, but they will have to find the vision before the play so that they know where they're getting flanked. They're going to have to make sure not to get poked out this time before
Oh,
anything happens.
but no, they want to be the ones engaging the teleport behind. Can they turn just right onto the teleport now? It is going to be the keeper's verdict into the wall. The Poppy knock up. Lean is dead. And now the rest of the team needs to run. Flash abusers are doing just that. Flashing over walls, trying to get away, but stunned into the wall. And Small Broski, the second to fall. And Vietnam Dragon was not there. They thought they had to engage. Bento was looking for it, but they were not able to box out any members of the NwE Delta squad. The Baron now started, and that teleport felt like that was the game changer. Not enough able to collapse. Tsunami in the area does have the smite available and does have the clone. Can they get over the wall? Oh, but they get blocked and can't get it. They still jump over the wall, but it'll just be to their death. No Baron, no health for Tsunami, and now this gold lead nearing 7,000 separating these two squads.
Lonely Me has been so impressive this series, making the game just seem almost unplayable at times for the side of Flash abusers, able to completely deny the entry there from Tsunami, making the teleport flank happen, and even when they tried to collapse, Flash abusers not even able to take out the Poppy. Lonely Me just seems unkillable and is able to do so much utility work that there's no way for Flash abusers to take advantage of the rest of the team being mortal. So Lonely Me with a great play there, able to make the Baron happen. And with that Baron buff, I'm expecting to see a lot more pushing being done. The tier 2 towers all available means that the gold lead can explode even further. Nearing 7,000 now, could be near 8,000 or even more by the end of the Baron buff.
You're absolutely right. We'll have to see how they can push these lanes. Looking like a 1-3-1 setup. Triple Baron waves all grouped up. And 2 minutes now until this dragon. Ultimately, they will not have the Baron buff when the dragon does spawn, but it is what can they do between now and then. Like you had mentioned, standing gold everywhere around the map. The Ghost is going to be expended just to move a little bit faster from Vietnam Dragon, but that's just a summoner spell that they had picked up. As you were seeing here, all 3 lanes getting pressured, but now look at Bento. Look at Bento might be trying to get onto an engage here in the mid lane, but a 3v3 is not winning. They're not able to overstep their boundaries, and instead, just the Flash abusers forced to hang on from under their towers.
The difficulty here is that they're not able to find kills.
They found one. There it is. They did over-index into bot side and found Lonely Me without the flash and without the hope. But yeah, 1 kill means your towers are falling. Look at this now in the mid lane. The inhibitor tower now destroyed. Nuffy's going through the tower themselves. Take a look at that. The inhibitor still standing, but the top tower now falling as well. So yeah, they found 1 kill. But Tiger, that's not going to be enough if your base is getting destroyed.
Yeah, and perhaps they took the kill just to spite me, but when I say that they can't find any kills, the kill that they found was an illegal kill. You can't do that because if you go for that kill, you send 3 members there, expend all of those ultimates. Now, not only did you only get a kill off of it, but you also end up being in a position where I don't think that they invested any summoner spells at the very least, but they weren't able to get any summoner spells out of Lonely Me. He's going to be there for the Drake, and the gold was so much more favorable for NwE, able to pick up 3 towers and start cracking the base.
And now they're not done. The pressure is still going to be there. Small Broski has teleported. They can reset, get him back on the map. But just 5 seconds until it spawns. Asleep is Lonely Me, and now is airborne, but not enough. Oh, onto Tsunami, but jumping over the wall. Lonely Me now on the wrong side of the rift, but the rest of the team not able to get there in time. This is such a scary choke point for the side of Flash abusers. They got to get in somehow, some way. Not happening yet, but the Call of Forge God is available. Will they be able to get onto this? But Goaty is already onto the Dragon. Nuffy's now knocked up. Can they get on to get the damage? Airborne is taken down, is shut down. Tsunami now the second one to fall. The team fight seems to be winning for Flash Abusers. Charmed, knocked up, exhausted is Daydream, and can they fall too? The flash away from Dr. Magic. The Dragon is low, but still alive. Goaty now the next one to fall asleep. It is
Look at Daydream
night.
go.
Oh, but look on the side there. Daydream's still alive. Tower's alive as well, but Lean wasting that ultimate. Daydream doesn't have much in the tank left. Oh, and the bubble does miss. I don't see any way that they're going to get out of here. 1,000 gold into Lean's pocket. They stop the soul. They take the fight. They might be looking to get this as well. We'll have to see now if Goaty will be staying here to try to get a smite steal. No flash, no way over. It's a one-way ticket. They can take the blast cone. They can take the blast cone.
Hold it at 3,000. Draw it out of the pit. Make sure that Goaty doesn't get a chance.
He's in. He looks for it, but it is secured from Tsunami. But look at these other two members double TPing down there. And now, oh, it's going to be Vietnam Dragon forcing away. But Goaty takes down Tsunami. Oh, that fight was so close. The smite within like slivers of health. But now Bento wants something, but there's no damage here. Your marksman's not here. Bento just given another free kill. And now the base march comes out from NwE Delta.
Nice job of securing the Drake. That was the big important piece there for Flash Abusers, able to avoid giving over the Infernal Drake for the moment. Gonna drop an inhib here off of the few kills that they ended up giving up. Still behind by about 6,500 gold, so it's gonna be an uphill battle, but they at least have survived long enough that they can start getting these Ornn upgrades in, and that's going to help them continue with their damage, get to a point where they can team fight.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and we'll have to see what this team fight might mean for them. The biggest part of that was that Lean got 1,000 gold, but they are already taken down again. The 1,000 gold, the shutdown from Daydream was massive. But it's still not enough if you're going to be that primary damage dealer and falling once again. But Tsunami might need to try to force their way into the area now. The Baron is under fire, but look at how well they're getting zoned off here. Down to 7,000 health already, and there is no shot at a steal from any member on the side of the Flash Abusers.
I think that the last fight was a little bit... when I say the last fight, I mean the one around Drake that was won by Flash Abusers. That one was a little bit of a throw coming out from the side of NwE, and a good job punishing that by Flash Abusers, but they've made a determination not to throw like that again, it seems. Grouping up this time, making sure to secure the objective, bringing multiple members there, and hard committing to burning it down. Now they're going to be able to push forward into the base, take an inhib, and they're starting to knock on the door of the Nexus.
Just one inhibitor tower remains. One inhibitor behind it is the extent of the base that's still protecting these Nexus towers. They're going to take the reset, and like you said, there was a little bit of a throw around the Dragon fight, but it feels like NwE Delta knows that this game is still within their grasp, and they want to close out the 2-0 here in playoffs. We'll have to see now through this final inhibitor in the bot lane. Can they crack that, or will there be an opening for Flash Abusers to stay alive? And maybe Goaty is the person they need, but they're just going to be able to run out of there. But look at the collapse here. Goaty's going to lose about half their health, but stays alive. Is completely fine. And that might have been a pick, but they got to get back to their base to defend.
Yeah, trying to get that Udyr, but not going to be able to finish off the kill very quickly. Can just go with the Iron Mantle. Make sure that you're not getting locked down there. And escaping just fine, and that means that the Baron push can be reset, and they're back on their way in.
Now maybe just one more 5v5 at this last tower is their final hope, their final opportunity, last chance to make it happen. Daydream takes half of their health. That is the kind of paddle star you need from Vietnam Dragon. Can they get another one? Nope, Daydream playing safe. But without being able to hit a wave, they have no way to heal their health bar. Vietnam Dragon doing their best. There goes the Udyr to sleep, but Lonely Me just ushering in the minions to the base. The Baron still around their feet for 45 seconds more. This final third inhibitor now getting pressured. Oh, but here comes Lonely Me under tower. Tsunami might be looking for that. Still all 10 members alive, but the third inhibitor falls. Daydream looks under tower, is silent, but pulled back by the Tempered Fate. Now here they go. The Fate's Call kept them alive, and now all 5 members are still alive. It is going to be stunned up from Small Broski, but the Nexus towers are under fire. First one falls. Can these 4 members hold on? It's got to be do or die. You got to go now. Small Broski has called the 4 job, but is stunned up. Oh, they're looking, but under tower, here goes NwE. They want to end the game, they want to end it now. Look at the health bars dropping quickly. Bento soon to fall as well. Last member alive is Tsunani. The only member was Lonely Me to fall, and the Nexus is theirs. The series is there. NwE Delta take the 2-0.
Great job by NwE, just suffocating that game, able to collapse onto the enemy base before the scaling could come through, before they could get to the point where there would be team fights that could go the way of Flash Abusers. Flash Abusers, given a valiant defense, they're finding a fight near that 4th Drake that they were able to at least get a little bit of hope on the comeback for, but at the end of the day, not quite enough. They end up getting edged out at the end of each of the games and pushed away from the map there really in the second one. So well done to NwE Delta. They were definitely the favorites coming into this matchup, being the 4th seed up against the 10th seed actually. So quite an accomplishment of Flash Abusers just to get here. They'll have an opportunity to make their way back through the knockout stage, try to get into the semifinals or even the finals where they might find NwE Delta. They will be in the upper bracket semifinals, so NwE Delta getting rewarded for their victory with a path towards the championship. Hopefully they'll be able to keep their high form up through that one. Flash Abusers were playing with substitutes all the way through today, so maybe their full power roster was a little bit better, but they just weren't able to quite match up today. Hopefully they can learn from their mistakes, come out stronger, and make their way up through the knockout stage. But whatever the case, should be an exciting remainder of the playoffs. Looking forward to what both of these teams have in store for us.
Yeah, we still got plenty more playoffs action coming your way. So that's going to do it this evening for myself, Llama, and Tiger58, bringing you the cast between NwE Delta and the Flash Abusers. However, tomorrow we got more playoffs action. As you said, both these teams still have a chance to take home the victory and get that championship for themselves. But for this evening, that's going to do it for us. And we are grateful that you were about to spend time with Style Esports this evening for our Season 14 playoffs. And until next time, hope you have a great night.